Anyway, we just want you to know that tonight, I can already tell sometimes there's themes that we can feel. Tonight's theme is about seasons. And, we all go through seasons, just like we were talking about before we went to the choir, about seasons in life. And how seasons can be joyful and blessed, and then other times we're in that 108-degree heat. And our next guest is just such a case. As a young lady, she was a professional model. You think, wow, this is just a great, wonderful, blessed life. But how is it that you go from that to being married 22 years, and in the course of that marriage, the person that you lean on, you depend on, your strength comes from, your best friend, is suddenly stricken with a disease that takes them from an active, healthy adult and dials them back down to infancy? Okay, and so you're thinking, wow, this is challenging enough. Can it get worse? Well, yes, it can. Then your 13-year-old son comes in and is suddenly stricken with a disease that less than 1% of all people in the world ever get. Our guest is an amazing woman because she spends and has dedicated her life to encouraging people through her organization called Living Under House Arrest Ministries. And just by the suggestion of the name, you can tell the very limited life that someone in this situation is able to experience. And her whole heart, her ministry, her desire is to encourage people who are caregivers. And so it's my pleasure tonight to introduce Linda Byce and her wonderful son, Trammell. Welcome to Atlanta Live.
Thank you guys for being here. Thank you. Oh, it's wonderful. It's wonderful to be here.
You guys have an amazing testimony, and I'd love for you to tell us just a little bit about what we were talking about before. Tell our audience how you got here.
Yeah, on Christmas morning, 2006, at 2:30 in the morning, my husband went into cardiac arrest. He was dead for an hour and 20 minutes by the time he was hooked up to life support. And of course, no one thought he would survive. And when they turned off the life support, he started breathing. So they turned it back on and weaned him off over the next few days. His doctor stood at the foot of his bed and said, "I want you all to know that this has nothing to do with us. This is God." And it's so amazing for us.
Had he been healthy as well?
Oh, yeah. Well, 9 months to the day before that, he had a massive heart attack, which just blew everybody's mind because he was always so healthy. And he recovered. He had a quadruple bypass, recovered, went back to work in 2 weeks, talked his doctor into signing for him to go back because that's the way he was. He was a workaholic. And but, I mean, he enjoyed his work. He couldn't wait to get back. So he was walking 5 miles a day after this had happened. He had recovered, he was doing great, and then all of a sudden on Christmas morning, he went into cardiac arrest. And they said because a part of the back of the heart had not healed.
Oh, my goodness. So when he was brought back to life, and they took him off, and then he started breathing on his own.
And then they weaned him off, and he was in the hospital for a month.
Wow.
That was us before. I always had made a big deal of our Christmas cards.
Oh. And how old is Trammell in that first picture, and then this picture too?
The first picture, I think about 2-3 years old, and this is not long before all this happened. This was about a year. Oh, it was the Christmas before. So that was us. And our cat, Chocolate. She's almost 14 now. But she's been with us through all this too.
Precious.
Well, before you roll forward, I mean, you were a Christian at that time, obviously, and someone of faith. How do you deal with that? I mean,
I believe that all things happen for a reason. There is nothing that we go through that God has not already prepared. He knows what's going to happen, and he takes us through. He has carried us through every second of every day and night of this. I don't know how anyone can go through something like this without leaning on God. I can't even fathom.
I can't either.
But for every need that we've ever had, he has supplied it before we needed it. For everything that has happened, every drastic thing, there's been something prepared for us, even down to the little things. One night I crawl into bed and I'm thinking, I forgot to make a gallon of tea. It wasn't 10 minutes and our doorbell rang, and this was 9 o'clock at night. And I'm like, who in the world is this? So I ran downstairs. It was our pastor's 2 daughters. The first thing she handed me was a gallon of tea.
Wow.
They had 2 gallons of tea. They'd had a youth meeting, and they had sandwiches and tea left over.
But God cares
the
about
tiniest things.
Even the little
even the tiniest things that we have had need for. has, been supplied.
God is so good like that. And so after your husband comes home, and he really goes down to being like an infant.
Yeah, he is like a 1 to 2 year old. He's in diapers, baby bottles, cartoons, toys, Nick Jr., It's the whole thing. It's just like I've got a preschool child, except he's 6 foot tall.
Wow. Trammell, obviously this has been really, really hard on you. How did God carry you through this drastic change?
Just my mom being there and
Just leaning on your mom. She's a wonderful woman, wonderful support.
He is an awesome Christian.
Oh.
He is an awesome Christian. Even as a child, when things were going bad or if I was having a bad day, he would always come up to me and say, "It's okay, Mom, I just prayed for you."
Oh.
Wow.
She's got that deep, solid faith, unshakable faith.
So you're in a situation now where your husband is reduced to infancy, and you're thinking, okay, how am I going to regroup and deal with this?
Right.
And then
February the 3rd, 2008, about a year and a month later, and we had just helped a family. He worked so hard. We had saved a family from being homeless, got him into an apartment, and he worked so hard helping me do this. And a month and 3 days later, at 4 p.m. in the afternoon, he had this horrible pain in his back. He described it as felt like he was on fire. And I was in the next room changing his dad's diaper. He had run upstairs, and friends were coming over to watch the Super Bowl. He's in there straightening up his game room, and he hollers, "Mom!" And I'm like, I'm busy, and I'm like, "What is it?" And he said, "My back." And I'm, hollering back, "What is it? Did you hurt it?" And he goes, "No, it just hurts." And I said, "Well, hang on a minute, and I'll get you a Tylenol." Never, dreaming in a million years.
Of course.
So by the time 5 minutes at the most, I'm walking through the door, and you can hear this shriek in his voice, and he's in the floor, and he says, "I can't feel my legs." You think you're in a nightmare, right?
I mean, this is nightmarish.
Yeah.
So I raised the window. I see my neighbors out there. They were walking. They were fixed to go to her mother's for a Super Bowl party. I raised the window and I said, "Help, I need help. Something's wrong with Trammell." I ran downstairs, unlocked the door. I come back up. This child is dragging himself down the hall, dead from the waist down. Get him to the hospital, and they, of course, and I get David, and I throw him, I get him in the car.
Sure.
I've no diaper bag, no, nothing. And we get to the hospital. By the time I get David out of the car and set him down, the doctor's running around trying to find me. He says, "I've called we've got an ambulance coming to take him to MUSC. Your son's paralyzed." So, yeah. And so, of course,
speechless.
Yeah. So they take off, and bless his heart, I get David back into the car, which is an ordeal.
I was going to say, it's Herculean strength anyway.
We take off, and of course the ambulance is there a long time before we get there. We are in downtown Atlanta. I don't know where I'm at.
Charleston.
I mean, downtown Charleston. I'm sorry.
So you made it down to MUSC,
Yeah. And I'm in downtown Charleston. I have no clue of where I'm at. And I look over, and there's a lady in the car, and I rolled the window down, and I motioned for her to roll the window down, and I said, "My son's been paralyzed. They're taking him to MUSC. I don't know where I'm at."
Oh, Linda.
She said, "Follow me." Yes, God sends angels.
He does.
She led me to the emergency room door, straight to the emergency room door.
And that's a big place. I work down there a lot.
Yeah.
It's a big place.
Yeah. So we were there, and this is another touching thing too. Well, we were in emergency room for hours and hours.
Right.
One of the doctors, and they were bringing me diapers for David and food, and one of the doctors walked in, and he checked on us, and he turned around and he started to leave. And he turned back around and he said, "We're all talking about y'all, and we can't figure it out." And I was like, "What?"
Yeah.
They said, "Son, you're paralyzed." And Trammell said, "Yes, sir, I know." And he said, "And I see your dad over here." He said, "There is such a calm and a peace in this room that we just cannot figure out what it is." And I said, "Trammell, tell him who's in charge."
Aww.
And Trammell said, "God is."
Wow.
Yeah.
That faith that you instilled in your son, bless you for that, because that unshakable faith for him not to fall apart. I mean, Trammell, that is awesome. You have such a gift. So many people don't have that.
I know.
And I'm with you when you said in the beginning, I don't know how they live through life, especially a tragedy. So you leave MUSC, didn't you? And I read on your website you had to go up to Pennsylvania.
Shriners,
Was
yeah.
this correct?
I used to volunteer at Shriners.
Okay.
And I got a hold of Shriners in Greenville, and it was just over their head here. There was nothing.
Because this is 1 in a million?
Yeah,
Is
yeah.
that what your case is?
Acute transverse myelitis, 1 in a million. They don't know how you get it. You know, it can strike anyone from the top of your spine to the base of your spine, and you are paralyzed from there down. And so they got me in touch with Shriners in Philadelphia. Shriners flew all 3 of us to Philadelphia,
Awesome.
where we spent a month with
Wow.
all 3 of us in one little room, one hospital room. Trammell always said the part of that was he didn't have to eat my cooking for a whole month.
Oh, you've always got to find the plus side.
I know. But you know, we spent a month there, and another awesome thing was, you know, they were teaching him how to live in a wheelchair, and I kept saying, well, we're praying for quick recovery.
Yes.
We're praying for quick recovery. And of course, kidneys don't function. You know, nothing. People don't realize. You know,
When you're paralyzed.
Bladder, your bladder doesn't function and everything. And so they're teaching him how to live and function with all this stuff. And my attitude was, well, we're praying for quick healing.
Yes.
So they're like, well, in reality, you've got to learn this and this and this. Before we walked out of that place, and I say walked out of that place.
Yes, come on.
He made hospital history being the first transverse myelitis patient they had ever had to walk out of that
Come
hospital.
on now, come on. That is awesome.
The awesome thing was they were bringing nurses and doctors through there and all for me to testify. So many lives were touched. So many people walked out of that room with tears.
I love it.
I told Trammell, if we had to go through this for one soul to be saved, it was worth it.
Wow.
It was worth it.
Wow.
And that's hard in the medical community too, because you know, I can see where God sends emissaries in there, because having worked in that community myself, it's not often you see those miracles. And so
Wow.
it is something like that that helps bring that reality back.
I'm thrilled just having you here with us. And you walked in here. I want to ask you, Trammell, I mean, do you have any pain? Do you have any?
My back hurts sometimes, and my feet hurt sometimes from the braces.
Okay. But you're able to walk and do all that on your own. Praise God. And I know you have an awesome story. So he lost a lot of weight, right? You lost a lot of weight, and then God connected us for this show, right? So tell us that story, because it's cool.
Yeah, he was in the wheelchair, and he had gained all this weight.
Sure.
His waist was a 38.5, and in January he said, I'm going to lose this weight. And, you know, all of us say that stuff, right?
Yeah.
Especially in January, yeah. So anyway, but he did, from a 38.5 down to a 31 waist.
Wow.
Amazing.
Congratulations. Wow.
On the same, well, a couple of days before you and I got in touch with him.
Which is a total God story as well.
We've got this other awesome miracle that's been going on with this donor that God has sent, you know, to help our ministry, and we've been able to buy a van for a family who didn't have one, and saved a family from losing their home through this awesome donor that we have never met. We don't know, you know, we don't know this wonderful person. So anyway, this person sends a gift card for Trammell to Men's Warehouse for $1,000, which we just. Yeah, I mean, it just absolutely floored us.
Yes.
So I get a nurse to take care of his ed, so we can go over to Men's Warehouse. The manager right there.
Okay.
He meets us at the door and gives Trammell a 50% off gift card or coupon.
Right.
He gets a $2,000 wardrobe.
That's awesome.
The same morning is when y'all invite us to be on the show. Trammell wouldn't have had a thing to wear.
God
You
cares
see,
about everything.
Right down to every detail.
I love
He's
that.
right there.
He's carrying you through the really big stuff and down to the sweet tea and the
down to the
outfits
sweet
for
tea.
your TV presentation, all of it.
I mean, one
That
miracle
is
after another.
Incredible.
So you've taken this experience in the time we have left. I'd love to hear what you've done to take this
your
experience and pour it into
Living
people.
under house arrest.
Living under house, because we do live under house arrest.
Yes.
And there are so many families out there that live under house
there
arrest.
are, Linda.
People don't realize when something first happens, oh, of course, everybody, you know, is there. They want to do something. But they don't think of, and at Christmas time, people will, you know, do, but they don't think about 365 days and nights a year that these people are suffering. And we know what it feels like.
Of course.
And so my ministry is to help those who are dealing with the same thing that we deal with.
Okay.
One family we send diapers to. Diapers are gold. People don't realize that. You know, that's a lot of money that, you know, for cases of diapers. Like the family we send food to. I just sent 4 cases of food to a family this month, and you know,
Tell me, I want to make sure that people, though, they know how to get to your website, because you have a website,
Yes.
you have a blog,
Right.
and how, when they're hearing this story, living under house arrest, how they can learn more about you, connect with your ministry, donate
Right.
to your ministry.
Yep.
So let's share that information.
Our website is www.bycefamily.weebly.com.
Excellent. That's right there on your screen as well.
Right.
And then you've got your blog
My
spot.
blog, Living Under House Arrest, is www.lindabyce.blogspot.com.
Wonderful.
And-
Yeah, because this is a great ministry for them to connect with you.
Yes, yes.
Because you're encouraging so many, like you said, you're getting much needed supplies that are like liquid gold to these
Oh, it
people.
is,
I
it
think
is.
it's an amazing
It's like-
testimony that for a family that's been through so incredibly much,
Yes.
your first instinct is to give. In so many instances,
Yeah.
I see healthy, able-bodied people who want to take. So, I sincerely believe that, God does take care of you because of that spirit.
Amen.
God
And,
bless you both.
yeah, we want to
guys
thank
are
you
an
guys for being
inspiration.
here and inspiring the Atlanta Live audience with what you've done. And Trammell, I just wish you a continued recovery, and you're an amazing
Yes,
young man.
you are.
And your mother is
He's
an
my
amazing
hero.
lady
He's
as
Your
well.
hero.
He is
I
my
can see
hero.
that. And God bless you. Thank you for all
Thank
you're
you,
doing.
guys. Thank you so much.
You guys can connect with Linda and Trammell at their website, like they said. And remember, connect with us on Facebook under Boundless Limits. We all have that album there called Hosting Atlanta Live, because we care about our guests. We care about you connecting with them. We'll have their photograph there, their information, all of our guests tonight, the music. So please check that out as well, and Atlanta Live while you're there. Right now, we're going to go to the phone lines, so stay tuned.